It's that time again. Somebody made some new Star Trek, so that means we need to talk about it. It's Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. That means it's Mission Log Live, and I'm John Champion.
And I'm Ken Ray. And here you are with us, doing that thing that we do on a Tuesday, of course, talking Trek. Tonight, it is a short Trek. Ask Not was the episode. And what we do on the live show is talk with you, our Star Trek pals, about, whatever Star Trek is out there. Now, you know how this works. We talk a little, we recap the episode, full of spoilers, by the way. Then you call us. Your comments, your questions, your opinions. That's what makes this go. Click on the Zoom meeting link. Use the one tap from your smartphone or give us a call. 669-900-6833 is the phone number to call. 669-900-6833.
No guest tonight? That's right, because you are the guest. Your opinion is the one that counts. Have you been keeping up with the short treks? Are you bummed that we've reached the end of Captain Pike in New Trek? And hey, how about that Enterprise engineering room? Nothing is off the table.
Hey, how about that table? Nothing is off the engineering room. Not sure that actually made sense. Hey, whether you're joining us live on Facebook, that is facebook.com/missionlogpod for you people listening to the recording later. Maybe you're joining us live on YouTube, youtube.com/Roddenberry Prod. That's another place you can join us. Or, of course, if you are catching us later, wherever you get podcasts, we're very glad that you have joined us tonight. We do have one favor to ask. Two favors, I guess. Please hit like. That's favor number one. And please hit share. That is favor number two. Because it would be great if more people were enjoying Mission Log Live.
Hey, speaking of people who are enjoying Mission Log Live, I'm going to point some of them out to you right now. Well, right off the bat, we got Chris Riker, who says, if the engines don't also make microbrews, it's not canon. And John X says, Canon Schmanon, give me a cool engine room that looks like CERN any day. Of course, CERN, that. All right, we got Paul, we got Brent, we got Jeff, we got Carlos, we got David, we got Chuck. He says, hello, loggers. Nice night for a podcast. Indeed it is. We got Barbara, we've got Rick, we've got Evan, we've got Kim. Just so many people chiming in saying hello. Hey, there's John Cooley. Cooley? Let's see, there's Evan. Spoilers, you say? Poll. Okay, yeah, well, it's kind of a spoiler in the poll, but, you didn't have to know that. You could have just flown right by it. Some people don't even read the question. They just click on a picture they like. Then you got Benjamin, you got Matthew, you got Scott. So many people chiming in and saying hello. So welcome to all of you. Who says, John Cooley says there's no such thing as too many deltas. We need to talk, possibly. You got John Arminio. Hi, everybody. A pleasure to see you.
I was actually going to say this is an Anovos original right here. Sorry.
Yeah.
Only listening to the audio and not seeing the video. This is like seriously one of the worst cosplay things you could do. I have absolutely mangled a tux jacket, which was a little too big for me when I got it, and is ridiculously big on me now. And then I just went crazy after that. So I think I'm wearing 8 deltas? No, 6 deltas maybe, and then some other Star Trek bling because hey, why not?
It's funny. Jeff actually says Ken must be the easiest person to find on a starship. So you just whereas Ken, well, there's 6 things pointing to Ken right now.
Look for the shiny. That's pretty much it. Yeah, the back of it. And I know we talked about the fact that I can't really show the back, but the back is like a foot and a half, somewhere between a foot and a half of a shiny IDIC.
Yeah,
which halfway through maybe I'll take it off and show people. I don't know. Hey. Sorry.
It's the biggest IDIC ever, except for the,
Be all kinds of unsolicited IDIC pics all over once I do that, and it really seems inappropriate. Hey, you know what's appropriate? Talking about the stuff that's coming up, because there's coming up. Rod Roddenberry is going to do a thing in Sansar. What? I know. He's doing a game night. Didn't know. Is that what we've decided? It's decided game night in Sansar. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
What kind of game?
I'm not at liberty to discuss that.
Okay. All right. Also, so Rod's going to be there. Now, here's the thing. Well, there you go. Maybe it could be guess which one's Rod, because, he normally wears that space outfit.
Yeah.
That spaceman outfit, but he's not going to be wearing that. He's going to be wearing whatever was designed by the people who did the Trek or Treat contest a few weeks ago, back around Halloween time.
Yeah.
So, the first game will be which one's Rod. Second game could be what the heck is that he's supposed to be. And then you guys will play like, tic-tac-toe or something. And then coming up after that, maybe a couple of days later, maybe a few days after that, there is a special Star Trek the Motion Picture 40th anniversary. Do you know what that means, John?
That
it has been, well, that. I was going to say it's been 40 years since my first Happy Meal.
Whoa, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, same.
Because that was the thing.
Mm-hmm.
For people who don't remember, and both John Champion and I had this, we actually had the wrist communicator that came with the Happy Meal. The very first, it was the very first movie tie-in for a Happy Meal, right? Or was it the first Happy Meal period?
It was the first Happy Meal period.
There you go. Yeah, at McDonald's. And you went in and they were like, it used to be you went in and you said, I want a burger and fries. And they'd be like, that's $1.50. But now you say, I want a Happy Meal. And they say, that's $2.
Yes, right. And you're still wearing the wrist communicator. Good for you.
I'm still wearing the exact same wrist communicator. Yes. Can I tell you, actually, I did have that until I was a teenager.
Nice.
Yeah. And then eventually I was like, this is never going to be worth anything. Oh, well, because I probably had the box too. But anyway, the 40th anniversary of Star Trek the Motion Picture comes up on the 7th of December. Mm-hmm. The thinking is there may be an event that day. There may be an event a few days later, but, keep it locked in, as they say on radio, because there'll be another Centaur event coming up. And then you got other stuff, John.
Yeah, we got other stuff. Well, stick around for the end of the show tonight because we'll give you a little bit more detail. But an early reminder that Mission Log and Mission Log Live are both off next week for Thanksgiving. So we're definitely taking that week off. And then at the end of the show, I'll tell you what's coming up on the release schedule and about some of our special guests. Because, yes, we have some guests booked out. Of course, we got 2 more short tracks coming up. One actually a 2-parter, two episodes in December, and then one last one in January before Picard. So stick around. I'll reveal some of those guests, some of those special guest hosts that will all be revealed at the end of tonight's episode. And hey, before we get into that recap and talking about tonight's short track Ask Not, how about a poll question? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Last week, we had, of course, Matthew Simone and Paul Muzzin on talking about Chasing Atlantis. And we wanted to know your space story, and specifically in the poll, have you ever been to a space launch? Have you been to the launch of a space shuttle or a rocket? My first was Apollo's Soyuz. Don't really remember it that well. I was very wee at the time, but I remember that something happened and it was cool. So 13% of you said yes, you had actually been to a space launch. 87% of you said no. Hey, I vote for more launches, more opportunity then for people to actually go to them. How about that?
That's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Although one day it'll be like going to the airport and there's like, yeah, seen it.
Yeah.
Maybe, hopefully. Yeah. Fingers crossed, because it would be great if we were actually doing that. Hey, we do have a question for this week as well. Whose psych test was scarier? Cadet Sidhu? I hope I'm saying that right. I apologize if I'm not.
23 Sidhu.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so Cadet Sidhu or Wesley Crusher? Right now, people say Cadet Sidhu's was scarier. 55% say that one was scarier. Wesley Crusher, 45%. Why don't we do the recap and then we can talk about what has to go into all of this stuff? Because I'm thinking that Sidhu's was definitely scarier.
Okay.
Not because of the stakes, but because she could have caught so much shrapnel in the face if she had been in the wrong place at the wrong time. But
yeah,
I apologize. I shouldn't do that. Hey, everybody, this is the part with the spoilers because John Champion, I believe, is going to handle the recap for Ask Not.
Well, here we go. Yellow alert on Starbase 28. There's an explosion in an inventory control room being watched by Cadet Sidhu. With a strong jolt, she's knocked to the ground. When she regains her footing to find out that there are hull breaches everywhere and some decks inaccessible, a couple of security guards show up at her door with a prisoner. They'll have to drop him off with her because they can't get to the brig. Can she watch him for a little while? Sure she can. But why is he in a mask? And why is he here? Well, he's a guy who's been arrested for mutiny, and he's being hidden because he's Captain Pike. As soon as the guards leave, Pike starts giving orders, asking to open comms, and Cadet Sidhu is doing her best to stay in control. She's got the phaser, he's in cuffs, but he goes right into what's happening. The USS Bowman was under attack by Tholians, and the Enterprise went into rescue. The admiral on board the Bowman took control of the Enterprise and wanted to turn right around for an attack, which Pike refused. He can make this right, though. As long as Sadu helps him, Pike can take the Enterprise again, beam the crew of the Bowman to safety, and take out all the Tholians. This might also be of interest to Sadu, since he knows her husband is serving on board the Bowman, and it just so happens that the two of them survived a Tholian attack once before. He's making a really good case. They argue regulations back and forth. He could help her husband. But Sadu sticks to the rules. He's inactive. She can't take orders from him, and when the time comes, she points her phaser right at him to stop Pike from going through the door. Then it all stops. The alert stops. The cuffs come off. This was all just a simulation. Pike says she passed. There will come times that Sadu needs to stick to the rules, stick to principle, even in extreme circumstances when a personal interest is at stake. Good news. She passed the test, and as a reward for her work, she is assigned to the Enterprise for a semester of training. The same place where she thought she was rejected. Nope, it was just a ploy cooked up by number one to keep the young cadet on her toes. Pike shows Sadu to her new assignment in engineering, and she asks if that phaser she pointed at him was real. See you around, cadet. And Pike is off. The end. I tell you, I really like writing a recap for a 7-minute episode of Star Trek.
It's not bad,
so
right?
much more than a 48-minute episode of Star Trek. Yeah,
It's a bit easier. Yeah, it's a bit
it
easier.
is.
To do.
Yeah.
Should I say what I said earlier?
Go ahead.
It's good to see the getting work again. Sorry. If you haven't seen this and you haven't seen Pulp Fiction, that will mean nothing to you. If you haven't seen this and you have seen Pulp Fiction, you'll start to get an idea of what it was that Pike looked like when he came in. Just the mask, not the outfit, because that would be a bit extreme.
Yes, yeah, but I do. Star Trek has been missing some good GIMP masks.
Not anymore. There you go. And now it's canon. And now you can just go
and cosplay. I'm telling you.
Again, I'm looking forward to the Innovos. I'm looking forward to the Dawn Post knockoffs. I'm looking forward to all of it. I'm looking forward to, I'm looking forward to being able to walk into a Hustler shop and just being able to get my Pike outfit. That's fantastic. I think really.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So are we going to talk about this or are we going to ask people to talk about it?
Well, I mean, I definitely have some thoughts. But I'm definitely interested in hearing what other people say, and then we can just slide our comments into our discussion with our listeners. That's the idea anyway. And
all right.
So why don't we go ahead and welcome Benjamin into the show. Benjamin, who's been standing by, calling from Pinball Central, a place that I only dream of and I've never been. Let's see, what do you have behind you?
Oh, we're just waiting for you to come to the East Coast.
I know.
And it's Roller Games, which was a TV show which lasted about 6 weeks before it was canceled. And then poor Williams Pinball was stuck manufacturing a game that no one was ever going to buy. So that's kind of a notorious one. Diner, classic kind of setup and title. And Pinbot, which is a weird outer space. The machine is the robot.
Dude, I kid you not. I was about to play Pinbot Saturday night, and that was the one machine that was broken in the arcade that I went to. And they only had 5 pinball machines, but that was one of them, and I wanted to play it so bad.
Well, the arcade that I work for, we never have that problem.
Well, of course. And nice Gorn, by the way.
Yeah, isn't he just special?
Yeah. Good.
You can't quite see, it's out of frame, but he has his own little crocodile dog pet there.
Oh, nice.
It's adorable.
Yeah, it's right to scale. It was really
sold separately.
Sold as part of the G.I. Joe reissue line from a few years ago.
Excellent.
Oh, okay. Nice.
G.I. Joe got kind of weird, and at a certain point, they started having little plastic crocodiles as well, packaged with the figures.
Yeah, as you do.
All right.
Yeah,
I have no problem believing that.
A band of international terrorists that dressed like dudes from a metal band, they got crocodiles.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's in a perfect world.
Forgive me. I can't remember, Benjamin. Are you one of the people that we've talked to before about Community?
Yes.
Okay.
I think the last time I was on, and I immediately looked it up on your recommendation, and it blew my mind.
Okay, so the Go Jobra episode then. You remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Oh, okay. I loved it. Yeah.
For people who don't know, Community. I'm telling you.
Ah, yes.
That'll be a thing we'll do.
I watched it, and then I wrote to all my friends that I grew up with and said, "You guys have to see this."
Cool.
Yeah.
What's on your mind tonight, sir?
Well, ostensibly, we're here to talk about the new short trek, and this is a pretty short trek, and it was one kind of cool idea. You got all the best gags about the Pulp Fiction already into the show, but all I can say is,
oh no!
No!
Oh, that was such amazing, horrible timing. Benjamin says, "All I can say is," and then he's gone.
One I really liked.
Oh, wait!
I'm still here. I'm here. I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Because you cut out. You cut out right when you said, "All I have to say is blank." And we were about to go into match game and just start putting terrible thoughts into quoted to you. So,
all right. My two thoughts on this short trek are this. I really like that when you go to work for Starfleet, one of the things they want is for you to not be so wowed by authority that you're not able to stand up to it. And that's great, because that means that there might be hope for me to serve on a starship, because I'm a really bad subordinate. I'm terrible at it. And the other thing is that I'm certain that James T. Kirk was given this test and that he really took it to heart.
That is a really good point. Yeah. Although, well, here's the thing, though. I was trying to think about this, that I'm a little bit torn. Like, you want to see somebody who sticks to the rules, sticks to the order, because she's missing information, of course, as part of the test, and we can't just hop on a comm and go, "Hey, is this legit?" So they've set this up very nicely to confuse and distract her. But then I thought, like, what about all those times that Kirk didn't follow orders, that he followed his heart, that Kirk was like, "Yeah, I know that I don't have permission to steal a starship, but it feels right to steal a starship." And then
there's a superior officer telling him not to do it, so he's got to do it.
Okay, point well taken. Point well taken, Ben. Yeah.
See, there's another thing, though, and you asked in the poll, John, about whose psych test was more screwy, right?
Yeah.
Wesley Crusher's or Cadet Sadu. And I mean, Wesley Crusher just had to save somebody, right? Like, put himself in danger to save someone. Because here's how this also could have happened. Two guys are like, "Right, we need this Pike dude out of the way. Let's just go in here and say this," right? I mean, all she has is anybody's word. And it's just, the fact that he came in cuffs, well, then obviously the other guy must be the one that I should listen to. The whole thing really just, seems messed up. Plus, she seriously could have caught a face full of wall.
All right. Well, I do want to talk about that in a second. By the way, one thing real quick, we have to credit Earl to the poll question, because when you and I are just not thinking about the poll question, Earl nails it on the poll question. So
nice.
Thank you, the incomparable Earl Green. And the thing about Wesley, though, in his psych test, remember, it wasn't just saving somebody, it was letting somebody else die. And it was a similar situation to how his dad died. So not only are we giving you the trolley test, but we're also making it really just pick away at a childhood trauma. Mm-hmm. So the people at Starfleet were working overtime. They're like, you know what? This kid, Wesley, he shows so much promise, but let's open an old wound and let's see how we can mess with him.
I guess my point is, I don't know how she could have actually chosen, because she had no authority to go on, right? Yeah. All she had was, like, who is she going to believe most when they say, "No, seriously, I'm the one telling you the truth," right? I mean, it strikes me as sort of a flawed test in a way, because all she has is who she heard from in the last 5 minutes. Unlike the Wesley thing, which I'd forgotten, honestly, the part about it was how his dad died too. But I mean, Wesley had to sort of puzzle through how he was going to do something very difficult. She basically had to puzzle through, who do you trust?
Do you think the whole thing was just sort of a tete-a-tete to see how well she could respond to a quiz on regulations? Because it almost comes down to that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, which was good. It was actually a good moment, and I liked her saying, "I don't do loopholes." So there was a lot of good stuff in there with that. I'm still a little bit disturbed by the whole idea that Starfleet testing is just like all we know of it is just messing with your mind. And this is a spoiler for people who will pick up Mission Log this Thursday. We talk about that again in Mission Log on Thursday because that O'Brien, he's just like, Nog now is applying for Starfleet. Great. I can't wait to psychologically torture him the way they did to me. It's like as soon as they came up with the Kobayashi Maru, everybody who made Star Trek after that point, just like, oh, we just make something up and then do the opposite when we're testing somebody, and that's how we test them. Yeah.
I still, to me, as I was watching this short, I thought the thing that stuck in my mind pretty quickly and then all the way through was like, it seemed to me, if I was to say what's the message that they're trying to convey, is that don't be so enthralled to rank. Don't just listen to authority because he's the person with the most braids on his sleeve. That you have to be in a crisis situation. You have to keep your wits about you, and you don't know what could be going on with a superior officer. And just because they are a superior officer doesn't mean that they're necessarily right or in their right frame of mind. It's maybe a rewrite might have been in order if that's really what they were going for. But that was at least my takeaway from watching it in the 20 minutes before this show came on.
Hey, can I ask you real quick, did you watch it more than once? Did you have time to watch it more than once?
No, I really watched it like a half an hour ago.
Okay. When I first watched this, I really did not like it. I really hated it. But watching it a second and a third time, I liked it more. And I think I liked it more because of something we've talked about on the show before, which is there are certain things that you watch when you actually know the spoiler, when you know the twist, you like it better because then you're not just playing along, you're not just playing the game along with the show. Now, certain things I would say, like say an M. Night Shyamalan movie. You watch it, you get the twist, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm glad it wasn't spoiled for me. Now I know the twist. Now I'm never probably going to watch that movie again. Mm-hmm. But there are some stories, and this one I would say is one of them for me, where I think I was disappointed the first time around because I was playing the game in my head. And I felt like, oh, it's all about the twist. And the first twist is Pike, and the second twist is that this is all a test. Once that was out of the way for me, and I went back and watched it, I was just watching it for the interesting tete-a-tete about rules and regulations and what is this girl's psychology, her psychological state going into this. I just sort of was able to relax a bit and enjoy this little slice of life. I will say the thing that I still don't necessarily like about it is that it feels like a slice of life with very little context. And there are other short treks that have done a better job at just giving you a little more context, or even if they don't, like Calypso, which I loved, this creepy, weird, Twilight Zone-y story about a guy falling in love with a computer and a computer falling in love with a guy, may or may not lead to something that we see in season 3 of Disco. So there is some context to speculate about. But even then, just on its own, it left you with this very interesting treatise on an emotional state. This one I felt like didn't have that. It didn't hit me in the gut the way that Calypso did.
Maybe this is all just to give us a little bit more background to impress upon us what a hard-ass number 1 is. My God.
Yeah, honestly, the part with number 1 and Spock at the end, it really kind of bothered me because it goes from being this like really interesting, really big sort of psychological, thing that honestly, I still landed where you started, John. I mean, to me, it just felt like a way to show off Anson Mount, who's fantastic. Yeah. Again, he's fantastic in this episode. Yeah, I mean, he's in this teeny tiny episode. He's great. But then it has like a Disney princess ending where it's like, oh, so you were playing with me the whole time? Dude, seriously? And you're fine with that? And then we go in and like number 1's bragging about, yeah, by the way, I'm the one who was really messing with you. And Spock's like, yeah, she's terrible, huh? And it's like, and there's almost like this happy music playing and it sort of negated what a mind bleep the whole thing was, right? I mean, like, would you question whether or not that's still an organization you want to be part of at that point?
It's really twisting the knife when they throw her husband into the mix.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, wow, that would take more than a minute to get over, maybe. You know?
Yeah, you got to kick it up a notch. By the way, is he still not allowed to go where he wants to go? like his consolation at not being good enough to get the post he wants is he never has to go through that. Like, is anybody going to show up at his place tonight and go, listen, by the way, your wife's dead and all the earth's about to be destroyed. But, you just keep doing what we told you to do at first, right? Or he's going to lose his mind, you know?
By the way, Ken, you didn't mention, so at the end of the episode, when they're revealing how number one cooked this up with Spock, and Spock says, we've come to expect no mercy from number one. And that, my friends, is where my Spock and number one fan fiction starts.
Well, and then you saw her cock the eyebrow as well, right?
Oh, you better believe it.
Which was a thing that we expect him to do. Yeah, there's a lot, although the cage sort of told us that she had a thing for Pike, but I guess there's now officially so much more Pike.
Yeah.
Than the
She's got a thing for Pike, but Spock's got a thing for her. That's my fanfic.
Oh, okay. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
Because he adopted the arched eyebrow thing. You got it from her.
Yeah, see, yeah. I'll read your fanfic. Yeah.
That's high praise because he won't read a novel.
I really don't read any. Well, not like any novel. But
no. I mean, like a Star Trek novel, right? He won't read a Star Trek novel, but he'll read your fanfic, so that's good.
Oh man, well I'll have to sit down and start writing it tonight.
Yeah. There you go. Well, it really only needs to be like 6 minutes long, you know.
That's all I need, Ken. So, Benjamin, anything else on your mind tonight?
Only that I wanted to say, Ken, man, it's been real. I have so enjoyed your perspective. I've so enjoyed the thoughtfulness that you bring to your criticism in all from the beginning of the TOS episodes up through the present. And I really appreciate your humor, especially in the earlier episodes. I would say, how is Ken going to make me laugh this week? Because it was so reliable. And I'm really happy to hear that you're not going to necessarily check out of the Vegas conventions, because I want to go to them. And a major reason that I want to go to them is to sit down with both you guys and have a drink. So I'm still holding the torch for that eventuality.
Well, thank you very much. And yes, we do like to drink in Vegas.
Yeah, I say that there's two magic words right there: Vegas and drink.
I've heard that's a thing you can do there.
It is a thing. Yeah, they're trying it out. They're not sure, but given like another 100 years, then they'll know for certain. Thank you very much for your kind words. I appreciate it. And
absolutely, thank you, Ken.
Yeah, and take care, man.
Yeah, we'll see you around.
Benjamin, pleasure. Take care. Till next time. Okay.
Good night, you guys.
Good night.
669-900-6833 is the phone number to call. 669-900-6833, or you can use the one tap from your smartphone, or if you're watching on Facebook, there should be a link there that you can click, and then the numbers going across the top of the screen are the meeting code, and then you get to talk to Earl, and then you have to talk to us. We have a bottom of the hour business. Oh, wait, we had one thing we were going to do.
Yep.
We were going to thank our good friend Reb Zeppelin.
Yeah, Reb Zeppelin, Rebecca M. She was so kind to send a card to each of us. And enclosed in that card is something very cool. I guess she's been listening to the show because she sent me the Star Trek motion picture magnet. She sent you.
Yep. She sent me a magnet from Wrath of Khan.
Right.
And what was really great, and this is honestly one of the coolest things that I could hear at this point, I think, is she went to her first Star Trek convention because she had heard us talk about them.
Yeah.
Didn't go to Vegas because, not everybody can, but there was a Star Trek convention somewhere near where she was. And she said, based on, how much we had talked about it, she wanted to go, and apparently had a whale of a time. Which is a neat part of the whole thing. I mean, it's great to get together here. It's great to get to do the podcast, but there's something fantastic about being in a room with a bunch of other people dressed like idiots. Hi, I'm talking about me. I'm pointing at me for you people on the audio thing. Or dressed like, sensible cosplayers, whatever. So Rebecca also sent me a very, very, very kind message that I haven't really been able to respond to. So So this is me doing that. Thank you, Rebecca. You're a star. I appreciate it. And thank you very much for the magnet, which is on my fridge, which is why I'm not holding it up for the camera, because I forgot to get it before the show started.
Hey, something I will hold up for the camera. This was nice. A little bottle of Chateau Picard.
Oh, nice.
2386. And then
right.
a bottle of Special Reserve from the United Federation of Planets.
Nice.
These will probably be gone by tomorrow.
Oh.
No.
You're a
I'm
terrible
just
person.
No, I'm kidding.
Wow.
No, I'm going to share.
Okay.
So,
groovy.
that
with
was
whom?
Very nice. Well, that
yeah,
remains
whatever.
to be
Whoever
seen.
happens to be around. I know.
No, and listen, this is not an ad, whatever. But I will share that apparently the code STWine at shop.startrek.com, you get 15% off. So I'll give that a try. I haven't tried it yet. So look, not saying that I've liked it because we don't know yet, but I'm
Bottle's
assuming
pretty.
It's good. Bottle's
the
beautiful.
bottle's pretty.
Yeah. And I love that it is dated. It was from Le Bar, 2386, and a little drawing that kind of looks like the venue that you see on the shows. So
2386. Well, you can't open that anytime soon.
I know, right?
Yeah. Let it age, because right now it's counting up, apparently.
You remember in The Jerk, Steve Martin takes Bernadette Peters to the nice restaurant. It's like, stop bringing us all this old wine. Bring us something fresh. Bring us some new wine. You know, you're getting rid of the old stuff.
See, that's funny. That's because one of my favorite wine jokes is also Steve Martin, but it's from the Muppet movie.
I don't remember that one.
Would you like to smell the bottle cap? Yeah, which is not bad. Anyway,
I love it.
Let's see. 669-900-6833 is the phone number to call. 669-900-6833, or use the one tap on your smartphone, or click all the stuff on Facebook. Just click it all. Really, no harm can come to you.
Mm-hmm. Everything. So one of those people did what we asked, and that would be the Vice Admiral. Vice Admiral Erickson is on deck. Here he is. Welcome to the show, sir.
Gentlemen, how are you this evening?
Hey, doing great. How are you?
I am quite well.
Now, let's see. I've got coffee and water to get me through the show. I haven't broken into the wine yet. Ken, I think you've got a water bottle there with you.
No, just coffee.
Oh, just coffee. Okay. The Vice Admiral, he started the party early. What have you got there?
I have just a simple maker's mark, but Ken had said that bourbon may be in order for this particular episode because of endings.
I had
transitory things.
Yeah, I had thought I might, but I've actually got another show to do after this. So
I'll have to drink for you as well, sir.
Yeah, well, and that'll be a stretch, I know.
Well, yeah, you know my skills. It's okay.
I think it'll be fine.
But I do want to once again say, and in a place that is a little bit more appropriate than a couple episodes ago, gonna miss you, man. It's been great. I have loved every minute of listening to everything you've done on this show, and I loved meeting you, and I've loved hanging out with you. And I'm looking forward to still doing that last part. So,
well, thank you. I appreciate that. I got nothing else, man. Thank you.
I get it. It's okay.
Have you watched the short track?
I have, and I got to say, as I recall, and I have watched it more than once, this test is credited pretty heavily to number one.
Yeah.
Now, we're saying that in the test, of course, which is a psychological test, which is not a normal cadet test. It's more of a, hey, you're joining the Enterprise crew, and we have a higher bar for you, right?
Is that kosher, though?
I don't know if it's kosher, but I think it is. I think it's what happened.
Yeah.
You know? But here's my thought.
I'm wondering. Well, wait. So did number one come up with the whole test, or is there just like a thing that comes from Starfleet, kind of like Mad Libs, where they're like, okay, so we're going to do the test where, we make somebody think that somebody's going to die, and it's either going to be their fault or they're going to stop it or whatever. And then do they just have to go in and fill in the part? Like, well, she likes her dog. Well, she does like her dog. She likes her husband more, though.
I was thinking that because of the way this plays out, and the fact that it's, hey, number one really likes to play with this, maybe the psych test in Starfleet or in Starfleet for cadets wasn't nearly this heartstring pulling. Mm-hmm. And then number one came up with this for cadets on the Enterprise, and Starfleet said, hey, we're not messing with cadets enough.
and they just all sat around in the mess hall and they were like, oh yeah, we could really make this awful and really enact some psychological torture on anybody who wants to join our party ship here. That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, and what's the worst that can happen? She'll kill Pike, and that's the worst that can happen.
Yeah, exactly. I'm still there are so many logistical things in this episode that make you wonder. So first of all, they had to rig a room that she's working in. So is that the real control room, or did they just give her a fake control room from the time she came on board, knowing that they were going to have to blow it up? And then they have to hire people from somewhere else in Starfleet, maybe Section 31, make this room blow up. But
Section 31 casting, yeah.
Yeah, like it'll knock her over. She'll probably have a bad ringing in her ears, but it won't kill her. So do that. We also need to shake the floor. So make all of this stuff happen. And by the way, I do know that there is, you can follow him on Twitter at Starfleet Panels. So Starfleet control panels that definitely do not explode anymore. So
they have fuses? What? They discovered fuses?
Well, exactly, yeah.
So lost technology.
Right. He'll come in, he'll get you all set up with things that won't explode, but they're like, no, we need the explodey kind in here. And then when
UL listing.
Yeah. And then what they do is they say to everybody else on board, because it's a star base and it's huge, they're like, all right, all 580 of the rest of you, don't worry. You're going to hear explosions. You're going to hear yellow alert. Don't worry. This does not apply to you. It applies to the one person who we're torturing right now. Pike will be on board. Don't worry. He'll be in a mask. Nobody stop him for an autograph. And then they carry on with this.
Well, that's why he was wearing a mask. So
well, exactly.
So he could get there.
So, right. Yes. Yeah.
See, I'm thinking the only way this actually works is if you just rig the whole space station with like exploding panels. Like basically any place, anywhere, somebody's quarters, a mess hall, control rooms, whatever, any place could be a place that they could just rig to blow up at any second. If it's like, okay, now it's time for the psychological test. Wait.
Yeah.
Crying? Okay, hit the explosion. Like, really?
How do they
now? Is it now? Do I do it now?
So with the Starfleet Corps of Engineers, when they deliver a star base, keep in mind this was a star base, and in that schematic there were like 4 or 6 at least Constitution-sized class ships parked around that thing.
Right.
So when Starfleet Corps of Engineers, they deliver the star base and all the admirals and vice admirals, just like the Commodores, they all come up for a visit, and they're like, you did a great job, and you have like a crew of 500, 800, 1,000 on board here. Did you remember to rig everything to explode?
Right.
Oh, see, we were trying for safety. We thought we'd build one that wouldn't explode on its own. Well, no. You're gonna have to rig this thing.
Well, there's a knife switch. There's a knife switch, and one side says safe, and you flip the knife switch, and it's cadet mode.
Not so safe. Yes.
Not so safe. Exactly.
I love that.
Or demo mode. Maybe there's a demo mode.
Demo mode.
It means more than one thing.
Were you nerdy enough like me? And I think I know the answer. I actually did a freeze frame on that where we see the schematic of Starbase, and it kind of looks like what we got in the motion picture, with the kind of dome top and then some spokes around that with little round service modules. And it's really cool. Yeah.
There's a few other productions that have used that, although they've all been fan productions, but it was part of it. It looks a lot like the Franz Joseph Starbase. So, which in the tech manual, which I loved. And that was in a couple, I think that was in Continues maybe, or it was, I think Continues used one similar to that.
Yeah, I think so. It's funny, Benjamin says in the chat, the explosions are fake because there's no plaster falling from the ceiling.
That's true.
So we don't have burning rocks for plaster, then that's...
She should have known. It was just like, the microwave popcorn in the wall went off. That's all.
So like this is your test as a cadet. You'll know when it's a real explosion or a fake explosion.
The person next to you will have shrapnel coming out of their head. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. That's it feels cruel. It feels cruel and wrong, and she could be blind.
Yeah, she could be, but she could have a visor then. It'd be okay.
Well, that's true. Well, no, they're a few years off, aren't they?
Could have been a really short episode. There was that moment where the guy arms the phaser and then throws it at her.
Right.
Oh, thanks to
That's
the
it.
Yeah.
Wait, was that set to overload by accident? I'm so sorry.
I know, right? Right. You hear it turn on, and then here, just toss this at you, and
It doesn't start winding up.
Yeah.
But yeah, the question then is this an extra test that all Enterprise cadets have to go through to get past number one's particular form of scrutiny? Because I have to think so.
If the 23rd century
There are
is anything-
400 something people on the Enterprise. No.
Not at this point. There's only
No.
200 some at this point.
Oh, that's
All
true.
right, still.
230. Yeah.
Good grief, though. Really? That's why they never go any. That's why they missed the war.
Oh, right.
They were testing all their cadets. Yes.
Right. They had like 10 people ready to go because, everybody didn't pass muster for number one.
Well, that's why the CMO is he's only 30, but look at how he looks after going. Every cadet has to come to him after their testing. And Bryce, right? Or was it
Boyce?
Boyce? Yes.
Boyce.
That was it.
Oh,
Hey, you got one instead of me, Ken. That
You're
is
going to be demoted.
That's amazing.
Oh, that's
Congratulations.
well. Thank you very much. I still hate the fact that he didn't turn up last season because I think he's well, whatever.
I don't disagree with you. I think if they decide, if somehow, against what appear to be studio odds, but again, with fan odds, we actually get more of the Anson Mount version of, the Enterprise. I think that we definitely need to see somebody playing that role who fits and isn't a funny country doctor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
McCoy's got that down. We're done.
Well, but I mean,
we need Boyce and House mixed into one character. What do you think?
That's an interesting idea, actually. I would like to, well, whatever. He's one of those characters. I mean, now that we have Pike, because Pike, I've said for years, Pike was my captain, even though we only had this much of a glimpse of him.
Oh,
right?
but he definitely is now, right? I mean, this was amazing.
He's really good. He's really good. Yes. I mean, it's tight between Pike and Picard for me still. But yes, I would love to now develop the Boyce character because I feel like Spock is always going to be what Spock is.
Yeah.
And number one, I don't want to say that number one. We had a whole season to get some development out of number one, and for some reason they have decided not quite to do that yet.
I know.
I don't know why, but yes, I would like to see. To heck with it. Let's do a number one and Boyce,
Right?
and everybody else can just, whatever.
Because the sad thing is, this may be the last time we see these characters in the current production schedule, right? I mean, we don't see them having another thing coming up where we see them.
This is theoretically the end of the Pike, the reimagined Pike Enterprise, and I love that Enterprise. Man,
Oh, yeah.
I love that exterior and the interior. By the way, just go back to
Except
the
for
subject
engineering.
not crazy, but we can talk about that. Tate in the chat says Boyce is a bartender. So
He did say that.
Yeah, we're really covering a lot of important ground here if we would only develop Boyce a little bit more. Exactly. People are recommending John Lithgow as Boyce, Ted Danson as Boyce. I don't know.
Lithgow for sure. Danson has done so well on The Good Place. I don't know if we need to make him a little angrier, but
right. But there's a lot of good. Oh, and Jeff says I want to see Jose Tyler too. So
good point.
Yeah, and where is Yeoman Colt? Oh, where indeed? Is
Where
Yeoman Colt?
indeed?
Yeah. So,
since you asked, if I may speak about a secondary thing, I know that last week with the folks from Chasing Atlantis on, you had the surprise guest of Tracy Lee Coco show up.
Yes,
which was amazing. Lieutenant J showing up. I want to point out that next Thanksgiving weekend is one of my favorite conventions, and Larry's been there more than once. Mm-hmm. And that is Starbase Indy in Indianapolis.
Right.
And she, Lieutenant J, Tracy Lee Coco, is going to be one of the guests of honor at that convention. So I don't know if I have the stuff to do it, but if I have the chance, I may make her a Barfleet Admiral. We'll see.
Oh, yeah, yes, absolutely. You should. And please give her our best.
Of course.
That's so cool. By the way, John Cooley just won my heart with this. Victor Garber as Dr. Boyce. I'm done.
Victor Garber would be fantastic, except he's actually on the Orville.
Don't care. Take him away.
There is that.
Yeah.
He would be good. He would be very good. Yeah. Although I'm liking the Lithgow idea. The only problem is because of Third Rock, you expect Lithgow to break into funny. And I know he's not primarily a comedic actor, but I'd be afraid that they would be that they would end up falling into.
If we look at the hairstyle, Alan Alda.
Oh.
But then it's Hawkeye, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, but that would change the show dramatically in a way that I'm not sure we need to. But
right.
Fun for a moment. Fun for a moment.
Nice. Vice Admiral, thank you so much.
Gentlemen, as always. And Ken, always a pleasure, and it'll be great to see you in person. And guys, have a great night and have a great Thanksgiving.
Take care, man.
Thank you so much. Live
You
long
too.
and prosper, friend.
And
669-900-6833 is the phone number to call. 669-900-6833. Or you can use the one tapped from your smartphone. Or if you're on Facebook, click the link. Use the meeting code at the top of the screen. Holy cow, John! I've almost got the patter down.
Wow. That's
I know.
Such good timing.
Just in time. That's click the thing and do the thing, and then you'll be on with us. Yeah. All right. So here's a question: do you have any other thoughts that you want to do on this on Ask Not? Or because I'm curious if you're excited at all about the animated short tracks.
So I'm glad you brought that up. There are a few things to talk about here. So there are 2 animated episodes, short tracks coming out back to back next month. And then, of course, we have an animated series coming up, Lower Decks, and then another animated series, the yet-to-be-named Nickelodeon collaboration. And I love the idea that... I heard somebody one time misspeak and describe animation as a genre. And I said, no, animation is not a genre. Animation is a style of storytelling. It is a tool for storytelling. And you can tell a story that is anything. You could tell a story aimed at kids. You could tell a fable. You could tell a romantic story, a science fiction story, a horror story, whatever you want to do. It is an infinitely flexible tool to use. And so far, and we've only seen very little of Lower Decks, I'm glad to see that the animated short tracks are totally different from that. Mm-hmm. So this is an arena for Star Trek to flex its creative muscles and not have to be the one thing for everybody. You may love one of these animated shorts. You may not love the other. You may not like both of those, but love Lower Decks. You may not love Lower Decks, but you may love the Nickelodeon show. I just love the idea that we're not pinning everything on one thing to be the definitive Star Trek. But, in the preview, we only saw literally just like a couple of shots. And we did see that shot of the Enterprise, which Aaron Harvey did the side-by-side, that with the animated series. And that got me excited, I got to say. How about you?
It looks interesting. I mean, the fact that it seems to concentrate on a robot and a tardigrade, I am not sure what it's going to say as far as Star Trek stuff is concerned. That said, we've had debates in the past about what does fan service mean, all of that. So much of what happened in the short tracks that we've seen so far, and I can only remember 2, honestly. What was the one? There's one in the middle that I'm missing. There was one where number 1 and Spock got stuck on an elevator. Mm-hmm. There was the one today that we talked about.
The Trouble with Edward is the one you're thinking.
Trouble with Edward. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. I feel like Pike, number 1, and Spock in this season of short tracks have been fan service in a way. I feel like you could have done the Trouble with Edward without either of them. I don't know if they then wrote the other 2 because, people want Ensign Mount as Pike. People want Rebecca Romaine as number 1. I don't know if they were written just because of that, because they don't really seem to have moved anything along that much, it seems to me, nor do they seem to have really made any kind of statement exactly. It felt like people want more Pike, we'll give them more Pike. All of which is to say, I like the fact that we're getting away from that for these last 3 short tracks, because it has felt less like we're telling a story and more like we're doing a scene with these characters that it turns out people are clamoring for, and we got nothing else for them yet.
Yeah.
And I do say yet because I think anybody who thinks this is the last we're going to see of Ensign Mount as Pike is underestimating how much money CBS has.
I want that series so badly, like a lot of people do. So, stay tuned. We'll stay tuned. I want to see what comes of it. But I think you're hitting at what I was talking about. That is the double-edged sword of the short track, which is my complaint with this one is that there was no context. And that can actually work for you. It can, because you're just narrowing in on this little slice of life and doing as I like to say, an inch wide, mile deep look at one thing. That's a nice freedom to have when you're doing Star Trek. You don't have to save the universe in a short track. You don't have to expand a mythology in a short trek. All you have to do is just focus on a character or a character interaction, and hopefully land on something emotional at the end of that. Mm-hmm. Calypso, I go back to, was this treatise on love. And this one is, there's the confusion, the pressure, but then we land in this place of joy of this young cadet getting to do her thing and surviving the test. And we all assume moving on to bigger and better things, working on the Enterprise and then her life beyond. But that said, it still felt like, as you say here, Pike is just the supporting character in this. And that it feels a little weird, because I think your gut reaction is to say, well, how does this actually tie to the Pike that we know? Are we getting more out of Pike that's worthy out of this incredibly worthy character? But no, it could have been anybody. He's just sort of set dressing at a certain point.
Can you see Pike being part of that?
Being part of what?
Psychological torture. I mean, forgive me. I know that's oversimplifying it, but I mean, can you see Pike going, "Oh, this is going to be great," or "Oh, I feel terrible about this, but it needs to be done"? I mean, it sort of feels like it's hard for me to see Pike being cool with it, and then Pike not being more understanding, is going, "Hey, listen, by the way, I'm sorry about your husband. He's fine. He's coming in. It's all cool." Really? Yeah. I mean,
not only can I not see him doing that.
Seconds.
Yeah. Not only can I not see him doing that, I don't understand how he has the time to do that.
She did address that. Like, you're awfully busy.
Yeah.
And then I think he said, "Get cleaned up. I'll meet you out there." So we're not going to answer that question. We're just going to raise that question. And hey, I got a question to raise.
Yeah.
Really quickly, and that was a horrible segue, but and now I've called it a segue, so it's worse. The question I had really quickly is, has everybody checked out everything on the Roddenberry Podcast Network? That was it, really. Podcast.roddenberry.com. This is the time of the thing where we do that. I know you've got other business to get to when we're done. Mm-hmm. So, remind you about, of course, Mission Log. That's a show. And then Mission Log Live, Women at Warp, which is a look at Star Trek through a feminist lens, or the other way around. Take your pick. Priority One, a Roddenberry Star Trek podcast, is sort of a magazine show talking about, news of the week, books that come out, gaming, lots of gaming stuff there. Shabam. Thank you. Is still doing their science thing, because they do that. The Trek Files is, of course, Dr. Trek, Larry Nemeczek, diving deep into the Roddenberry archives, pulling out a piece of paper and going, "Guys, look at this piece of paper." Okay, it's a tiny bit deeper than that, but you get the idea. And finally, Daily Star Trek News is Star Trek News, Monday through Friday. Allison Pitt, formerly of Priority One, just banging away at the keyboard, coming out with news every single Monday through Friday for Star Trek. So if you're a Star Trek fan, and if you're hearing these words, I suspect you are, that'd be a great show to check out. And of course, the best place to find all of them, podcast.roddenberry.com, or look for each one individually wherever you get podcasts.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew this about Shabam.
Shabam!
See, they keep doing a show about science, because they keep doing science. Science just keeps happening all the time.
Right.
Somebody's going to talk about it.
Yeah, I know. And no matter how hard people try, other people keep doing science.
Yeah.
So,
more science keeps happening.
There. Yeah.
Hey, so I do want to let people know about what is in the pipeline for Mission Log and Mission Log Live. So as I said at the top of the show, we are off this coming week for Thanksgiving. That is American Thanksgiving. Ken, do you celebrate Canadian Thanksgiving at all?
Why would I? I mean, it's a made-up holiday, for crying out loud. When I actually lived closer to the Canadian border, I would get a little bit of that Canadian Thanksgiving feel. For people who don't know, by the way, it was in October. It's like the first day of October. So if you're not Canadian or don't live near the border, you probably don't know that. But No, I don't celebrate Canadian Thanksgiving because it's, it's like the end of a week and the beginning of another week. And
I just
do
like
celebrate
the idea
American Thanksgiving, though.
Sure. I just like the idea of co-opting another culture's food holiday. So,
sure, I get that. Yeah, absolutely.
And there are many Canadians I know who are fine people. So
yes.
I'm good with like, hey, let's just take the day and eat poutine or whatever.
Yeah,
I know.
Wait, yes. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. Yes, I do celebrate Canadian Thanksgiving.
Like once a week.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So Mission Log Live off for American Thanksgiving.
That's next week, though. Like as people are listening to this, I mean, there is a Mission Log in like 48 hours.
Yeah.
This
well,
Thursday,
you can get
there's
that.
one.
Yeah. Listen to it slowly, so then that'll get you through the next week as well.
Right.
Then I will return on December 3rd for the live show with guest host John Kurz. You just mentioned Shabam. And he will be on with me as we host our guest, Aaron McDonald, Dr. Aaron McDonald, and we're going to drop a little science on you. Aaron's a lot of fun. She's here to answer questions like, how would warp drive work? And does a transporter kill you? All those fun things that we like to cover in a science discussion of Star Trek. So we welcome her back with my guest host, Josh Kurz. And then the following week, we will welcome Star Trek effects legend Dan Curry to the live show. So do not miss that. That will be awesome. The week after that, we're back to Short Trek. So we have the 2 animated episodes back to back, The Girl Who Made the Stars and Ephraim and Dot. So those are the 2 that will air in mid-December. And my special guest host that week, taking your calls, yes, from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Claire Kramer. She will be my guest host to talk about Short Treks with you. So have your questions and comments ready, and we will chat about those short treks. You and me and Claire, it'll be a blast.
Call in and ask her about Buffy.
Sure, because I haven't watched all of it. And
I'm not going to be here. I've watched all of it. Can I tell you what's funny? Actually, not only have I watched all of it, but in the midst of my rewatch right now, season 5.
That's where Glory
that's where
comes
Claire.
on.
Yeah, that's where Glory comes in. Yes.
Nice.
Spoiler, by the way, Glory is Claire Kramer and vice versa. See that?
So you can call and you talk to me about Star Trek, or you can call and talk to Claire about Buffy.
Yeah,
but here's the thing: she will have watched those shorts and taken notes. So presumably, she's here to talk about Star Trek with us. She knows a thing or two about Trek. So
yes, she does indeed.
That's good.
Can we also talk about what we did today? Because there's another thing coming up. Because first of all, I don't know. I'm really not paying any attention to when things are going to be running anymore.
This one will be
because I'm like
mid-December.
Okay, the thing that happened today.
The thing that happened today. Yeah.
Yeah. So John Champion and I got to talk to John Delancey today.
What?
Oh, that's right. We did. Yes, we talked to Q, and believe it or not, we even talked to him a little bit about Q. John busted out with an amazing question that hadn't occurred to me, because I think of Gene as, back in the day, and I think of TNG as, more modern. John, in the middle of it's like, hey, by the way, tell me about Gene. I'm like, well, of course he would have met him. So that was kind of interesting. And then, of course, the stuff that John is very interested in today. How would you categorize it, John?
It's interesting, man. He's sort of made this, I won't call it a career, but he's made a name for himself giving speeches and for secular and scientific causes. He is very concerned about the idea that whether it's religious or supernatural or non-substantiated beliefs creep into politics and the social sphere that way. So he's really making an effort to talk about these. And it's interesting to me that he was inspired by that, partly because he did a reading of the Scopes Monkey Trial several years ago. And here's something that happened in 1925, but you fast forward nearly 100 years, and there are still similar conversations about the role of science in the public sphere. So that has inspired him. He just did a speech in Mexico. He just spoke in Vegas, SciCon. This has really become a passion for him. So I would say that in our conversations, it's about 20% Star Trek and interesting Star Trek stuff, I think, but about 80% talking about that. 80% talking about his life now, his passions, hopefully a very intellectual conversation that he also ties into gosh, his job as an actor and lying, quote unquote, lying as an actor, which I found to be fascinating as well. So,
and some personal stuff too. I mean, it was really it was an interesting conversation. He was very, very giving of his time, and so that's coming up. And then of course we're going to wrap up season 3 of Deep Space Nine by the end of the year too. So.
And then season 4 starts for Mission Log sometime in January. So keep an eye out for that.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, Ken, I'm not going to break open the bottle of wine right now, mainly because I don't have a corkscrew on me. I know that I should have one on the desk.
But break it on something.
I know, and there's a bottle of scotch over there too. I could do for that. But thanks, dude. The live show has been a blast. And this is the night that we say goodbye to you from the live show. As a regular host, I hope you'll drop in every now and then. I call you up and, hey, just swing by, see what we're doing.
Sure. Yeah, it'll be fun. In the meantime, I'll just be in the chat room trolling you.
Nice. See, that's perfect. You can yell at Cooley and
that's what I'll do. Yeah, just put sucks on just like repeat over and over again. Just scroll the whole thing. I'll troll.
No, but I'm pleased. We started this as sort of a cheap and easy way to cover Discovery. And this has become a lot of fun. Something I look forward to every Tuesday night. It's been a blast doing it with you.
Yeah, and thanks to everybody who's come along. I certainly appreciate it. And I'm kidding about trolling, but I can't imagine I will be able to not watch some. So if you see somebody pretending to be me in the chat room, it's probably actually me. So and thanks to everybody who has made this a part of your Tuesday night. And I look forward to seeing what happens next.
All right. With that said, Mission Log Live is produced by Roddenberry Entertainment, executive producer Rod Roddenberry, technical production on Mission Log Live by the incomparable, inimitable Earl Green. Be sure to visit podcast.roddenberry.com for the latest from the Roddenberry Podcast Network, including not just Mission Log Live, but Mission Log, Women at War, Priority One, The Trek Files, your daily Star Trek news, and Shabam.
Shabam!
If you would like to support Mission Log directly, give us a look at patreon.com/Mission Log. Thanks to everyone who joined us live or later, and we will talk to you again.